that end the lives of anyone who pushes back against their Talmudic, murderous, expansionist agenda. They will stop at absolutely nothing to get what they want. And neither will the people that they employ or the people that they own. All of them. Every one of these people, from elected officials to their family members to NGOs, so-called activists and foreign dignitaries, they're all connected and they're all murderers. And not just murderers, they're child traffickers, they're pedophiles. That's who runs our political system. Our country is ruled over by compromised perverts who are on tape raping kids on Epstein Island, or at the Epstein Ranch, or in the Epstein townhome, or in some basement at a pizza parlor, or in Tel Aviv somewhere, or maybe Eastern Europe. You know, we've brought to the attention of many of you here lately the existence of this vast network of orphanages in countries like Romania, where Erica Kirk and Tyler Boyer love to hang out. And speaking of Epstein, just a stone's throw away from Erica's Romanian Angels facility is Transnistria, a tiny self-proclaimed country populated by ethnic Romanians, where Jeffrey Epstein's brother Mark is also tied to the orphanage industry. There's quite a bit going on over there. All right, welcome back. So before the break, I mentioned some of the high crimes of American political and societal elites, especially Jewish ones, especially Zionist ones who are involved in Eastern Europe. And let's not forget, Eastern Europe is within the footprint of old Khazaria, and if these Israelis get their way, Eastern Europe will be within the footprint of new Khazaria, because these countries, these places like Ukraine and Romania, places like Moldova and Georgia, these are nations in which political power players from all over the world, especially here in the United States, go to commit crimes. These are the countries with extreme levels of poverty, thanks to the 20th century, much of which they spent under the Jewish jackboot of Bolshevik communism. And because of that, these places are packed full of unsupervised children, unaccompanied, unparented children who have no one to speak out for them, no one to protect them, no one to stand up for them. So they end up in an orphanage somewhere before getting sex trafficked to rich Westerners and rich Jews, and then eventually having their organs harvested after long periods of captivity. It's disgusting. These people, these children in these Eastern European countries are used as currency. These kids are used as bargaining chips. They're used in Epstein-style compromise operations. They're even used in human sacrifice rituals. It's an atrocity. And child trade isn't the only connection that our political system has to Eastern Europe. We've all seen the multi-billion-dollar money train that runs around in a circle between the United States and Ukraine, with a whole lot of other countries popping up right in the middle of it, one of them being Romania. Now, maybe you, a whole lot of people, especially Americans, don't realize it, but the United States and Israel meddle in Romanian politics incessantly. And American elites use Romania as a geopolitical flea market for themselves, much like they've been doing in Ukraine since the collapse of the Soviet Union. So when some political figure from the United States just pops up on some trip to Romania, you can rest assured that something nefarious, at minimum, is going on. And speaking of Romania, that's exactly where Don Jr., the son of the so-called sitting president of the United States, was meeting with the Israeli government minister who oversaw every single intelligence agency in that country, in that fake nation state, including the Mossad, and who is directly connected to the Israeli exploding pager attack on members of Hezbollah. That's who Don Jr. is in Romania meeting with. Now, this is information that the Stu Peters Network has exclusively obtained from a source close to Don Jr., so close, in fact, that this person was present for this September 24th, 2024 meeting in Romania with Gila Gamliel, the Israeli Minister of Innovation, Science, and Technology, who up until March of 2024 was the Israeli Minister of Intelligence. And Don Jr. wasn't on this trip alone. He was accompanied, according to photographs that we have obtained that we're going to show you now, by Kimberly Guilfoyle, who joined him for his meeting with Gila Gamliel. And from what our sources are telling us, at the time of this meeting, Don Jr. was coked up out of his mind, and Kimberly Guilfoyle, one of his two girlfriends at the time, was so hungover that she could barely keep her eyes open. And they weren't the only ones on this trip. We'll get into a bit more here in a few minutes, but just for context here, Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski were also on this trip. And remember, This was before Trump won the 2024 election, also right before Romania's own 2024 election. And Trump's inner circle, inner members of his future administration, members of his family, his son, were flying around the world meeting with members of foreign governments and third-party nations far away from the prying eyes of the American people or anyone else who might have a problem with these backroom dealings. Now, let's dig into the meat and potatoes of who this woman, Gila Gamliel, is and what Don Jr. or Kimberly Guilfoyle and Kristi Noem and Corey Lewandowski and others could have possibly been doing flying around Eastern Europe, meeting with members of the Israeli regime. Gila Gamliel isn't just Israel's former foreign intelligence minister. She's not just the incumbent Minister of Innovation, Science, and Technology, but according to multiple media outlets, Gila's family, like her blood relatives, those closest to her, were directly responsible for conceptualizing, manufacturing, and creating the very pagers that Israel used to kill and blow the testicles off of members of Hezbollah in that surprise attack that they launched on September 17th in the same year, 24. Just 7 days before Gila Gamliel is sitting down with Don Trump Jr. Now, it's worth noting here that several months before that attack, Gila Gamliel transitioned from intelligence minister to technology minister. The intelligence ministry was taken over and put under the direct supervision of Benjamin Netanyahu. So Gamliel needed a new job. And who better to appoint to the technology posting than an Israeli intelligence minister whose family makes the very pagers that Israeli intelligence agencies are about to use to blow people up? It's a pretty natural transition, and if you ask me, it makes the story all the more interesting and meaningful because it makes Gila Gamliel look all the more likely to have been directly involved in that pager attack, likely in more ways than one, both intelligence-wise and technology-wise. And we're going to talk about that pager connection here in just a minute because sources who've reached out to me and the show and the network believe that Gila Gamliel and Donald Trump Jr. could be connected to a whole lot more than that pager attack. There's a lot more to Gila Gamliel than pagers. This woman is obviously, first of all, a high-ranking member of the Israeli government, and as such, she's negotiating deals with Americans and presumably has done so on a pretty regular basis. What could she have been negotiating exactly with Don Jr.? Was it even a negotiation, or was she just giving him his marching orders? Was she giving Don Jr. a message to take back to his father, who would soon be installed as the 47th president of the United States? And what could that message have been? It could be any number of things. It could be some video footage that we've obtained and translated here into English, which indicates that Gila Gamliel could have been talking to Don Jr. about plans to ethnically cleanse, to mass murder, to completely destroy and then reconstruct Gaza. I'm going to share this video with you. This is a video from Gila Gamliel's office that, again, we've translated into English, revealing that according to Gila Gamliel, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, personally has signed off on a Gaza deal and a reconstruction plan that will include the building of a new Trump Tower and high-dollar resorts and luxury housing for Jews on the land where Palestinians have been slaughtered. Watch this. It's us or them, voluntary migration of Gazans, the Gamliel-Trump plan. Now, what the hell is she talking about? Do you know anything about a plan to rebuild Gaza? Do you know anything about a deal to rebuild Gaza? Did the United States Congress vote on some kind of international treaty in which the United States is going to come in and build back better in the Gaza Strip? Not that we've been told, not here at the show, not that the American people have been informed of. But she didn't say that Congress signed off on it. She said that Donald Trump signed off on that deal. The Gamliel-Trump deal, the Trump-Gamliel deal. It's the Trump plan for Gaza. A plan that it looks like his construction and real estate company will make billions, maybe even $1 trillion off of. I mean, short of rebuilding Ukraine, this will likely be the biggest, most expensive real estate project in history if it goes through. And there will be this big Trump tower right in the middle of all of it, a huge middle finger to all of the dead children that place will be built directly on top of. They're not even going to take these kids' bodies out of there. They're just going to push them into the earth with bulldozers and build a Jewish colony right on top of them. They'll be filling in the map of Greater Israel on the bones of dead kids, and Donald Trump is making all of this possible because he's making the American people pay for it. Again, according to a high-ranking Israeli government minister, Gila Gamliel. Now, if you think about it, what Gamliel is saying here really adds up. Think back to earlier this year, Trump's first meeting of the year with Benjamin Netanyahu, when Trump got on the Truth Social and posted an AI video, much like the one that we just saw there, interestingly enough, in which he showed his fantasy land of Trump Gaza, where faggots were drinking martinis and murderous genocidal Jews were running up and down the streets having a grand old time making Tel Aviv look wholesome. As Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu laid side by side in their bathing suits, sipping Mai Tais, right before the clip cuts out and presumably power bottom Trump fulfills his wifely duties to Benjamin Netanyahu. Like a good little goy. Many people seem to have forgotten about this video, but again, it was posted by the so-called President of the United States. And it looks like he really was calling his shot. He was openly bragging about the world that he was about to create after finishing off a genocide on behalf of his Jewish paymasters and handlers. Watch this.
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new light. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
Just think of all of the things that you would have to type, all of the prompts that you would have to give to AI for it to generate that video, all of the psychotic thoughts that have to go through your sick and twisted mind in order for an AI video generator to spit that back out to you. You have to have a meticulous plan of exactly what it is that you're going to do in Gaza, and then you have to share that plan with AI. And a big part of that plan, very obviously, is Donald Trump and Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump and Jared Kushner and Howard Lutnick and Steve Witkoff and Susie Wiles and Kimberly Guilfoyle and so many other criminals making billions upon billions of dollars. Is this what Donald Trump Jr. was negotiating in Romania? Was Don Jr. in Romania before his father was reinstalled as President of the United States, ironing out the details of Trump Gaza? Committing his father to sign off on a deal with a foreign nation without congressional approval, without the approval or even the knowledge of the American people at a time in which he wasn't even the sitting president of the United States? It looks very likely if we connect the dots here. And remember, this is disgustingly ironic because this is exactly what Republicans were accusing Hunter Biden of doing. Going to Eastern Europe, meeting with foreign criminals, meeting with foreign government officials, conducting business in the name of the United States to enrich himself, to enrich his father, to enrich both of their criminal associates. Your average Republican wanted Hunter Biden executed for that. But it's a different set of rules with Daddy Zion, Donnie Operation Warp Speed Trumpenstein, because those people in Don Jr., they don't care if he does cocaine. They don't care if he's a sexual degenerate. They don't care if he flies around the world negotiating with foreign ministers and making deals behind the backs of the American people on behalf of a president who isn't even in office. And again, the Stu Peters Show has sources who were inside of that room in Romania as Donald Trump Jr. and Kimberly Guilfoyle met with Gila Gamliel. They weren't just on this Don Jr. Romania trip. They were at this meeting. And the things that they saw and what they heard, and perhaps most importantly, who they saw, stuck with them. They realized that there was a lot going on here. And in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, they have connected the dots just like we're doing for you here and now every single day. All of the dots that are coming back to the same group of people that they always do. The dots are going back to Israel. The dots are going back to the Jew.